Hello, hello. We have almost made it to the end of the week. Today, I'm going to be talking about a big lesson, the biggest lesson I've learned from sports card investing in 2022, as well as previous years. Stick around.
Silence, you fuddy fool. I've had it with your whining and bumbling.
Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. We are almost to the weekend. I am ready for it, guys. It's been a week. It's been a long one, and I am ready to just kind of settle in. It's almost hot tub time. I might be doing a live stream, a pre-hot tub live stream. Haven't done one in a couple of months, and I think it's time. We are due. I want to speak directly to you all. I think that would be really fun.
Guys, come look at this.
If you're new here, you're looking for daily sports card collectibles content, guys, you're here. The rest of the family, Uncle Jim, he doesn't want to talk about cards and collectibles type stuff. He's bored of it. You've come to the right place. Hit that subscribe button and also connect with me on IG at Sports Card Dad. And I'm also on the old Twitter machine, the Sports Card Dad. Oh, you're looking for a good time buying, selling cards through a live streaming app? Well, go to Drip. The Drip Marketplace is a fun place to buy not only just sports cards, but non-sports cards, comic books, all sorts of different types of collectibles. It's an entertaining, good time, so check out Drip. I'm going to put on the screen $15 off your first purchase, so definitely use the link to sign up and get that $15 off. All right, guys, I was messaging with another great YouTube channel. I really enjoy watching this channel, Philmington. That's spelled Phil, P-H-I-L, Mington, Phil Mington. Yeah, no, he's a really funny guy. And we were just kind of messaging back and forth. And the one thing I told him just about this overall market, whether we're talking about sports cards, crypto, stocks, whatever we're talking about, real estate, is it just shocks me how quickly the tables turned, or the turns tabled. What was that Michael Scott thing?
Well. How the turntables...
And what I mean by that is the Federal Reserve coming in, raising rates, and just completely flipping on its head. Cash is dead. Basically, cash is worthless to cash is king in less than 12 months. Really, we're talking about in 6-7 months. This whole thing is completely flipped on its head. And I think just the speed of that is shocking to me. And they did warn of this. I mean, I remember looking at news articles from the end of 2021. I think it was maybe Goldman Sachs. Some of these, Wall Street bankers were predicting, 10 Fed interest rates. That federal rate is going to go up 10 times in 2022. And I was just kind of like, yeah, but they're not going to actually do it though. I mean, there's going to be too much political pressure. It's going to raise mortgage rates. It's going to do all this different things. But they have done it, and they're not backing off of doing it. And so raising that rate, of course, it's shocking to me that CDs are where they are now. Like putting money in CDs over the last, decade was an absolute joke. It'd be like having money sitting in your savings account. Nobody would do it. Nobody was interested in having the money sit in their savings account and collecting 0.08% a month or whatever the rate was. It was abysmal. It was just sitting there. It wasn't even keeping up with inflation to where it made absolutely no sense to have money in savings. And so what happened? Well, people are getting their money, pouring it into assets. Like I'm not making any money in my savings account. CDs aren't getting me anything. I'm going out into alternative assets, and I'm going into the stock market. I'm going into real estate and all these other things because it didn't make any sense to sit on cash. And now what's happened in a matter of 6 months of federal rate increases, now it's like, get everything back into cash. We're going back to cash. Cash is king. And again, with crypto crashing, this has kind of happened over the last few days extensively. It had already been down in 2022, but over the last few days, really, there's just kind of big events. FTX is going under. It's a massive exchange, is going under. It's kind of like if Lehman Brothers went under on the crypto side. There's all sorts of big things that are happening there that are pushing prices down. But also a big push behind that crypto bit was, hey, cash is becoming worthless. They're printing it all. You want to be in Bitcoin, you want to be in cryptocurrencies because the dollar just keeps on getting weaker and weaker and weaker, which is true, and it has been over the last, especially 15 years, 12, 13 years. But now the Federal Reserve has switched that. They've essentially changed that dynamic, or at least slowed it down. And so really all speculative type markets, whether we're talking about sports cards or crypto or graded any type of collectibles or whatever, all of these things that are more speculative are really taking a hit right now. They're taking an uppercut. And so a big lesson, I think, is don't sleep on the good times when they're happening. I think when we're in it, and to be fair, none of us know how long these things are going to last. So when you're in kind of these bull cycles, or the cheap money cycle, probably a better way to put it, where mortgage rates are at 2%, 2.5%, when it's really cheap to borrow money, and where asset prices are inflated, that's obviously selling season. Now, and look, I know if we're talking about the collecting piece, if there's certain cards like my Drew Brees cards, that's my kind of collection piece, that's all sitting there on the side. We're not really talking about that. We're talking about speculative type things. And we're also talking about flip items, more of kind of like a short-term flip item. I also look at a lot of stuff to where it's not necessarily a PC player, but it might be a vintage card. I've got a Pete Maravich rookie card and a PSA 6. I think Pete Maravich is awesome. I like his story and all of that, but he's not a PC player. That's more of just, I bought that card in 2018 and I'm just sitting on it because I think it's a good store of value. And I also think the thing is awesome. I think the cards are awesome. So we're not necessarily talking about the collection pieces, the PC players, and that we're talking about more of the speculative type stuff. And that's kind of the big thing that I'll take away from this, if this happens in the same way again. I think it gives me pause too when I look at, with sports cards in particular. A lot of folks talk about, I hear this all the time, of, over decades, long time folks in the hobby, over the last few decades, whatever that they've been in, they've seen peaks and valleys, they've seen ups and downs. But the part that is not talked about enough is that the peaks that we saw over the last 2 years are the highest that they've ever been. So when we talk about sports cards, peaks and valleys, we're really talking about little bumps in the road, whereas 2020 was like this. That has never happened before in cards. Outside of a few anomalies in 2016, certain vintage cards went like this. We're talking about very specific instances. We're not talking about the entire market, moving up and coming down. Sports card market has been like this mostly. It's been relatively flat. And so part of what we're looking at here, is this a new asset class to where there's going to be money staying in this to where there are elevated prices? We're really going to find out. It's going to be a huge test, because even these kind of higher end cards, you're seeing them come down. You're going to get a whole lot of price pressure over the next 12 months with all the macroeconomic stuff. And this is something, again, this is kind of the opposite of what we just went through 2020, where there's money just pouring in, and we're watching asset prices shoot up because of it. This is now the inverse of that. And so that's what's really going to be interesting, is are the whales going to hold? Are the whales going to hold on to some of this stuff? We've seen it on the crypto side. That's kind of the big thing, is, oh my gosh, are the whales going to dump? And that's the part where you are seeing some of it. There are some whales that are dumping, but in the card market, are they going to really, really dump, or are they going to sit on it? And so for me, and for all of us, I think, when there is zero interest rates, if the government does this again, if 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, when I'm old, I'm going to remember this time. I'm going to remember this time, and I'm going to act accordingly. Now, of course, if this sort of event happens in 20 years, 30 years, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the same exact thing as what's happening now. I think this is a great lesson, even for long-time hobbyists and folks that are older than me that have been through other economic cycles, because we all get caught up. That's the thing that people don't, talk about enough, really. Even if you've been through a cycle like this, a dot-com boom and then a dot-com bust, a lot of folks just get caught up. And there are a lot of people, the naysayers and the critics. This is what's funny to me, is they're always naysaying and critics regardless. The market's up, they're a naysayer and a critic. The market is down, it's a naysayer and a critic. They're never actually involved in it anyway. They never got in, so they're just talking about it, but they're not actively even in it. There are folks in that bucket as well. But what it really could mean in 2023, as we round out 2022 and get into 2023, there could be some really amazing buying opportunities. And people will say like, oh, well, you shouldn't say that now because we haven't hit the bottom yet. You really don't know what the bottom is. So all the folks that are saying we haven't hit the bottom yet, today could be the bottom, 6 months could be the bottom, yesterday could have been the bottom. Like, nobody knows the bottom. So, but for me, I'm going to dollar cost average down through a lot of this stuff. I'm going to look for things that I think have value, long-term value, and I'm going to go with those things. Value buys of awesome stuff that I think is great. It's got to have both of those things. The value stuff, that I think is awesome. I'm not necessarily looking to just speculate on some random player I don't know anything about. I don't care about that. I'm looking for stuff that I care about that I think is going to hold value or build on its value moving forward. So it's a tough time, and this is a great lesson. It's something that we kind of knew was going to happen, but everybody just kind of like turns a blind eye to it, including myself. I did not think that the Fed would do it all this quickly and it would have this sort of ramification this fast on a lot of markets. It's interesting. Guys, let me know your thoughts. And I know that a lot of people are going to say, like, I knew this was going to happen and I knew this was going to go exactly like this. And great on you. Great on you for knowing exactly how everything was going to go down. Bless you. Stay healthy. Stay awesome. I will talk to you again later.